This is Radio Bath.
We're back with Brave Business Conversations, and we've got in the studio Alison Patrick.
Good
Hi,
morning,
Alison.
Cynthia. Good morning.
Welcome to the show. And it's great, isn't it? You're just following up a song called The Best Years of Our Lives. And
yes.
I want to know about the years of your life, especially the times where you had that moment when you realized, you know what? This is the next phase of my life, and I want to make good, worthwhile use of it. But before that, let's get to know you a little bit. You are now involved in the Rotary Club in Bath, Avon.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
I originally trained as a PE teacher in Essex, but moved down to Midsummer Norton for my first job, and I've been in this part of the world ever since. And having worked as a PE teacher, I then did a slight sideways step and started working for the local authority, supporting schools to include youngsters who had physical disabilities. And I spent over 30 years doing that, which was clearly a job that I thoroughly enjoyed.
I would hope so. That would be really tough if you didn't. But then what led you to join Rotary?
I have twin sons who I brought up by myself, and they were starting to plan their gap year before going to university. And I don't know about you or anybody that's known about bringing up two boys in the house when there's a lot of food needed, a lot of washing always on the go. And suddenly I realised that actually there was going to be quite a lot of time that I had free, and I wanted to do something to fill that time because I didn't want to suddenly think, oh, I don't know what to do with myself. And I know a lot of people would have loved free time, but I wasn't at that stage that I wanted free time. I still needed to keep myself busy, and realised it was an opportunity to do something where I could meet other people because, say, bringing up children and working full time, I didn't really have the time to meet new people. So it was looking for an activity where I could socially meet other people, but also I wanted to do something. I wanted to give back. I knew a little bit about Rotary. I, at the time, originally thought it was just for men, which it was years ago. But using the internet, had a look around and realised that Rotary clubs actually accepted women, accept any gender nowadays. I made contact with the Rotary Club of Bath Avon because they meet at an evening, whereas the Rotary Club of Bath meet at lunchtime. So working full time, that suited me better. I made contact with them. I went along to a meeting, and here, 12 years later, I'm still a member.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. It's an identity shift, isn't it? A lot of women also, when the kids grow up, they're not needed anymore, in this mum sense of the word, find themselves quite having this emptiness, like what to do in terms of empty time, but also like the feeling that you need to be part of something.
Definitely. Very much a part of me, I want to feel that I'm making a difference in some sort of way. So whether that was with my children and bringing them up and trying to instill good values in them, etc., etc., and teach them how to cook and things like that. But I just wanted to, I felt very much that I wanted to give back. I wanted to help other people, but I wanted to have fun at the same time. It wasn't just about giving, which is what I did, part of my work very much, but I wanted to actually have fun at the same time.
Why wouldn't you do that with work? Because what you do seems to be so purposeful. Why wouldn't that be enough?
Ooh, good question.
That's what I'm here for. I come my guests regularly. Because, like what you did, I mean, like if you were doing something like, I don't know what job isn't meaningful, I'll try to make it up. But I mean, what you're doing is helping people. And you would think that, yeah, you've done something meaningful.
I did. And I love work because of that. But this was slightly different. I don't know. Is there something about work that you just get to the stage of thinking that actually that's work? I need to separate it from work. So although I was still giving back, it wasn't work, so it was more on my own terms.
Yeah.
Work you have to go to every day, you rock up every day and take whatever comes, whereas this was something about I could actually make some choices. So the way that Rotary works, if they were doing activities that I didn't want to be involved with, I didn't go. Whereas at work, you don't really have that option.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was on my terms.
And you were reciprocated with pay versus this is completely 100%
Yes.
Your generous contribution.
Yes.
Wow. I look forward to it. And I know I've looked it up on the map, on the internet, that Rotary Club was started as a men's only club, but since the 50s, I think, they've already opened it up to women, and in many Rotary clubs around the world, including the ones I'm familiar with in Indonesia, they are run by women, and they have lots of different types of diversity.
Yes.
And also you can see it in their projects.
Yes.
You can see it wasn't just polio. It used to be all about eradicating polio. Now that's almost done.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Moving on to so many other things, and it's been interesting to see different kinds of committees. So this shows for really people trying to look for a worthwhile use of their time. It could be because you're entering a new phase in your life and you feel like you need to have a contribution side of your life. It could be sometimes, like Alison, you've got a little empty nest and you don't have to clean up after everyone anymore, and you'd like to find somebody else to clean up after. or somebody else to help. That could also be the same, but also a lot of young people. There's this a program for young people, Rotaract or something
Yes,
like that. Yeah,
yes.
and you can tell us more about that, where it's really for young people, because what amazes me with this generation is really how purposeful young people are. And then what was I doing at 21?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
so we'll be back with Alison and the Rotary Club Bath Avon after this.
Across Bath, Westbury, and Warminster, this is Radio Bath.
And this is Brave Business Conversations. We're still with Alison Patrick from Rotary Club in Bath Avon. So tell us, you were looking for companionship, connection with other people,
Yes.
being out there. You were also looking for contribution. What were some of the projects that you really loved since you've joined?
One of the first ones that I really remember was actually doing some painting at the Peggy Dogs Centre up in Coombe Down. So what we as a club do, we provided labour and we went up there and we actually painted. That first time was the staircase and the entrance hall and the hairdresser's room. So there was just a group of us there just painting. We're not painters and decorators by any stretch of the imagination, and it was at the weekend, and some of the club members came along and made the tea and the coffee. But it was just an opportunity to do something alongside other people, and as we were doing it, people were nattering. Some people were telling jokes which were funny and some weren't funny, but it was just fun to be a part of a group of people doing things in a relaxed way.
Yeah. And then how did it make you feel to just get on there? And especially, like, many of them would have been men, right?
Yes.
Many of them. And you would have been one of the minority women at that time to have joined the club. Did it make you feel uncomfortable in any way?
Not at all, not at all. When I first joined the club, there was one other lady member. So my first visit to a club meeting, there was one other lady member, and she left 2 weeks after I joined, which I'm told has got nothing to do with me, just that she had to leave for work. So there was a period of probably about a year when I was the sole female member of the club. But I did not find it intimidating in any way. Now, I could have been. I'm not one of these people that is uber confident. But they're just a lovely group of very interesting people who accepted me for what I could bring to the club. And I know them all. They're very happy to sit and talk to me, and at social events and meet their wives. I just felt a part of the team, and that's what it was about, and that's what I was comfortable doing. So no, there was never an occasion when the low number of women that we have in the club has an impact at all. We are just members of the team.
Yeah, And to be fair, I think I've also interacted with the Rotary Club members, and they are fun. They're just a fun group of everybody. Even I think is it your past president or your current president? It's a woman.
Both our
Both.
current,
Both,
past president and current president, and I myself have been president as well, so it's not an issue.
No, not an issue at all. Surely before Rotary Club, you've looked at other activities. I remember we jokingly said, "Why didn't you if you just want some good use of your time, why don't you just join a knitting club or some gardening club or something?" And you said, "Oh no." What other things did you look at before finding Rotary Club, and why did you feel that you still needed more?
I had looked at lots of sports activities because obviously being an ex-PE teacher, sport was my default thing to fall back on. But from experience, I just felt that I wanted something where I almost went straight in and was accepted and could be a part of the team, that there wasn't a case of working out whether I could knit or whether I could play tennis at a particular level that other people might want to join me. It was very much of I was just accepted and I was in and I was sharing, and whatever I could bring was sufficient. And on my terms, there are also the fact, as I say, we meet regularly. Currently, as a club, we meet in some way 4 times a month, but I don't have to have the commitment every week. It is entirely up to me how often I'm involved. I mean, clearly, if you miss too many meetings, I personally think that you miss out, but it's up to each individual. Why not knitting? Knitting wasn't something that particularly enjoyed me, but
I'll say that to anyone.
Yeah.
It's not something I particularly enjoyed. That's why I suggested to everyone else, men or women. So why don't you just join a knitting club?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a lot of great knitters out there.
Oh, absolutely. But it was a challenge too far for me.
To be fair, my grandmother taught me how to knit. I enjoyed it for a while.
I have knitted jumpers, but
Absolutely. The nice thing I thought about Rotary, because I've been on and off involved with it, is you are both local, but also you are making international impact. Now, I'm not exactly sure how it works. Could you tell us a little bit about that local and international project that you do?
So the whole principle of Rotary, it is an international organisation, and we as a club are part of a district, which is obviously part of Rotary of Great Britain, which is part of Rotary International. So as a club member, I am part of an international organisation. And I can feed into that in any way, or to a degree in no way at all. So we do pay a small subscription each year, and part of that subscription goes on to Rotary International. And through that, my participation is funding projects that are international. But a lot of what we do is local. With very much in our local community. But then we also have the opportunity of doing some projects which might be slightly international. So, for example, as my particular club, we have a link with a club in Germany and one in France. And we are currently managing a project in Sri Lanka, whereby we are funding and supporting the teaching of English to teachers who are teaching people who work in the tea plantations.
Teachers. So you're teaching English to the teachers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we're improving the English of the teachers who are teaching English.
Well, that's good. I love how that actually just, that starts from the top. It starts with people who are already making a difference and influencing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And one of our members has actually been out to Sri Lanka. He went out there for 3 months. He's an ex-head teacher, so it was very much his thing that he had a big passion about, which was lovely because he was able to bring his expertise to the project.
So is it like if I have a passion for a project, for instance, and I do want an organization who can support it, and in terms of getting people behind it as well as financially, what I understand is that projects can start from the members.
Absolutely. I mean, this particular project did start from the members, and it was because of the links that we have with these other two clubs that we were able to get the funding that we required. Because part of the funding is what's called match funding. I think that's the right phrase.
Yeah.
Where we applied to Rotary International to get some additional funding. So whatever we funded, Rotary International would match. So that enabled the three clubs together to put effectively a small amount from us, small amount from the other two clubs. But together with that match funding, we were able to have a large pot of money. We can do much more. We can make much more difference with that big pot. So it's fabulous, and the project is still ongoing for a little while. Obviously, the pandemic has caused quite a few problems, but we've made a difference. And one of the things that other club members that haven't been able to go out to Sri Lanka have been able to do is that. Using Zoom with Sri Lanka, which has been a bit of a challenge, we've actually been talking to individual teachers over Zoom. So just using English language so that they can practice their English language and refine their English language.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that there's been involvement at all different levels in accordance with who wants to participate, who has a particular passion for that. But absolutely, everything that we do as our club is because of passions of the members of the club.
Yeah,
So-
and I love that match funding because some of the things that, well, I've been in charity organizations since I was 10, basically being a scribe and then moving up the ranks. But basically, I realized that a lot of things you need money for,
Absolutely.
It's nice to have passion and energy and manpower to do it, but also funding is so important. And there's lots of people out there who need the funding, who need that support, and who need the members to get behind them. And it's nice to see such a global and powerful organization like Rotary also listening to the members and saying, you need to come up with members' suggestions, and then we'll match the funds.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's criteria around
Yes.
all that, but it's very encouraging. It's one of my favorite things about Rotary, to be honest, is that whole, we think locally, but we act together as a global
Yes.
organization.
Yeah. And linking in with club members, another thing with that is we have a member of our club, a couple of members of our club, who are particularly good in filling in all the paperwork to apply for match funding.
Oh, perfect.
So we need, as a club, it's not just about having people with ideas or people that are prepared to sit in front of Zoom and talk to people. We need people with all sorts of different experiences that can fill in forms or whatever. So, that's one of the great things that it might not be that I can do everything that the club wants, but there will be members that can provide different things, and we need members with lots of different skills, which is fabulous.
Exactly. Well, we'll have more of Alison Patrick and Rotary Club Bath Avon after this. We're back with Alison Patrick in Brave Business Conversations. We're still talking about using your time in a worthwhile way, just to get involved in worthwhile causes. You do a lot of things in and around Bath, right? With the
We
Rotary
do.
Club. Tell
Yes,
us more
we
about
do.
that.
And so we very much like to be involved in supporting local charities and involved, like I mentioned, about Peggy Dodds. But we also have to have some funding. So we do a bit of both. We work with local businesses to raise funds, as well as working with local people to actually support them. So, for example, let me give you some examples. So one of the things we're involved with is supporting the development of reading at St Michael's in Twerton. So a group of Rotarians go along there on a weekly basis. It's not necessarily the same people every week, but it helps if it is. And we sit and listen to young people read or support them with reading, because for some youngsters actually sitting reading is quite a challenge. So it's about supporting them with reading. That's a very easy project for us to be involved with, and we know from talking to the head teacher at the school that it's something that the school very much values. So that's just about giving our time. I mentioned about doing the painting at Peggy Dodd's. If we can, then we will get the paint free if there's a local company that would be happy to donate it. If not, we have to purchase it. If we have to purchase it, then we have to have some funds in which to purchase it with. So we run a lot of fundraising events, some of which are fun, but some of which are quite hard work to organise. So one that is fun but also slightly hard work, we have a regular quiz and curry meal at the Mint Rooms in Bath. So Mo very kindly allows us the use of his restaurant for the evening. So there are no other guests. They're just completely taken over by Rotarians and their guests. And we have a fabulous meal. And we also have a quiz at the same time, and obviously there are prizes. And I'm never in part of the winning team, but it's just great to go along. I love the food at the Mint.
You're just there for the food.
Absolutely there for the food. But I know I'm raising money at the same time,
Exactly.
which is absolutely fabulous. So all sorts of other things. There's Bike Bath, which is a cycling event that takes place in Bath, and a few of our members actually participate in that, and they're sponsored to do it. So that's great because they're getting fit as well. And there's only a few of them that take part in that, but actually they're raising money whilst they're doing that. So it's looking at all sorts of things. Or the other thing I absolutely must mention, one of the things we do is we do a collection outside Morrison's every year.
Oh, wow.
This year is going to be Wednesday, the 22nd of December. So for anybody that's shopping in Morrison's on Wednesday, the 22nd of December, we just literally stand outside there and are asking people to give donations. And usually the people that shop there are super supportive, and we raise a lot of money just by standing there and holding a bucket. Father Christmas is there, of course, so that always adds to the festivities as well.
And you also do bagging, don't you, in certain supermarkets?
Yes, in previous years we've done backpacking in Waitrose. Obviously, we're not able to do that this year because of restrictions, but that is always something that has been well received. And yet again, the Waitrose is fantastic for allowing us to do that, and the customers of Waitrose have been fantastic with their donations as well, which really helps. Helps with what we can provide within Bath.
Well, my partner's involved in Rotary, and he always loves the backpacking projects because then he'll chat all the way through. He'll do his job. He's quite a quick packer, and he chats a lot. And he said before you know it, his line was completely. It's the longest one because people wanted to chat with him, or maybe he backpacked a little bit too slow. I don't know.
I can believe it. Yeah.
But I think the important thing is it's also fun for the members. And what I love about that is that you are actually raising funds for local charities, so you're not competing with them.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's very much about what we can give to the local community. And we have debates within the club. It's not a case of Rotary International say this is exactly what you have to spend your money on. It's very much up to the membership of the club to make decisions. And I know over the years that there have been quite strong discussions that have been had about how much of our money we should be spending on international projects versus local projects. And currently the feeling is quite strongly that the vast majority of our funds must be on local projects, not on international projects, because the vast majority of our money is coming from local people, and we want to give back to our local community.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the stuff you can feel. That's the impact you can feel. And you walk down that building that you painted, or you walk down this thing that you made, you fundraised for, and you're like, oh, that was me. You know, so that's very good. We'll be back with more of Rotary Club Bath Haven after this. We're still with Alison Patrick and Rotary Bath Haven. Alison, you're not just a member of Rotary. You found it 12 years ago, but you managed to become its president as well at some point in time.
I did, yes.
That's amazing. What does it take to run a good nonprofit organization? I've always wanted to know. Because, I mean, for-profit companies, you just pay them. And there's a salary, and you hopefully will get commitment. But with nonprofits, there's always that little bit of art, isn't it?
Yes, I guess so. I guess the main thing you need is enthusiasm, absolute enthusiasm. The wonderful thing for Rotary is that as the president, you get to choose, you get to select the nominated charity for the main part of your fundraising for the year. So that is always slightly attractive. You know, it's the carrot as such that you can promote the charity that you're particularly passionate about. So I chose Bath Stroke Support Group, which unfortunately is no longer in existence. But that was a project that was important to me.
To your heart.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So that's sort of the nugget that makes you think, yes, I want to be president because I can choose my charity. The challenge is that every member of the club has rightly their opinion and they want to contribute, and everybody has a different amount of time that they can give, and are wanting slightly different things from the club. So a few of our members were founder members of the club, which is founded just over 40 years ago, and they are less active now physically than they used to be, but their contribution is still very important because they've learned a lot from being a member of the club. And we have other members of the club who have only been within the club for a few years. So those are the people that you want to try and encourage and engage and get involved in activities. But you have to make sure that they're activities that they would want to be involved in. Now, that activity could be a fundraising event or might be a social event, because it's really important to have that balance between the two. So the whole time you are continually balancing what do we need to maintain the membership of the club as well as raising funds for the club. So the whole time it's balancing. So that's where the enthusiasm absolutely comes into it. And yes, that leading by enthusiasm, that's the way that I've always managed when I was working. It's very much a case of this is how I do it. I'm putting in a lot of effort, so please join me and do the same.
But I would think there's a lot of opportunity for like mentoring, because it is a multi-generation club. If I see it, I've been to some of your events. You'll have the founding members, but they are super supportive of the new members. And if anything, they can give a lot of insight about how to work through Rotary. For someone who is truly passionate to just make a huge difference, how to work through Rotary, how to work through the community. They're very well networked individuals as well in and around the community, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And they come from such a wide, diverse background. So one of our members was very involved in Cadbury. So his experience of management is vast. And we can use that. We have members who are within the business community within Bath, who they know is fantastic, and the connections, and in fact why I'm here today is because one of those connections. So it's about using those connections and becoming aware of those connections and actually using those connections. But absolutely, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how we need to continue to be as diverse a club as possible with its membership and our members, people with a wide range of experiences and skills, because that's how the club actually runs. But the challenge of the president is to pull that all together so that we have a successful year. And that's not necessarily about raising as much money, because we potentially could do that but not enjoy ourselves, which would mean that the next year there wouldn't be as many members. So it's not just about raising.
It's not just about money and membership, I feel, because a lot of people want to get into it without necessarily upfront being members, but eventually as they get into it, they might decide otherwise. How do you define success now, in 2021, Rotary Club, Bath Avon? How do you define success? As we said, it's not about how much you fundraise. It's not about just going by membership and money. But how do you define that?
For the members, for the members, we need to be having fun. I wouldn't go if I didn't enjoy it, if I didn't have the opportunity to sit and natter to people, learn about different club members, and just have light conversations. For the community, that we are involved actively within the community, supporting community events, supporting community charities. One of the things we do is, as a club, we have speakers to come along. If they're charity speakers, invariably we will give them, if we've got the funds, we will give them a charity donation. So we have a small impact sometimes, but actually as part of a bigger charity, they have a big impact. So, for example, we had a speaker last week from Mentoring Plus. So there's we are a little part of lots of things that are going on in the community. So it is our community involvement that really I personally feel is our success.
That's beautiful. Having fun, nattering, and getting involved in the community.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
I
agree with you. I think I'm on board with that. How do people who want to get to know more about Rotary contact you?
We have a website. It's a very long and convoluted website address for various reasons, but if anybody Googled the Rotary Club of Bath Avon, we also have a Facebook page and we have a Twitter page, but we also have a telephone number if anybody wants to phone up and find out a bit more. If they phone a gentleman by the name of Jerry on 07851 051 038, Jerry is more than happy to chat to you. If he feels it's appropriate, he would pass anybody on to have a chat with myself, because obviously I'm the one here talking today. We're more than happy to talk to you to see whether anybody felt that they might be interested in joining us.
Exactly, for an activity or for membership or just to come and see, right? Well, it's been lovely having you on the show. I'm always, Rotary has always been part of my community, simply because I'm impressed with its local presence. I'm impressed with its global network. I'm impressed with its legacy and history. And, it is one of the most powerful forces that eradicated polio around the world as well. And I know you're involved in many different things. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for allowing me to come and talk today.